About to go live.
Here we go.
Hey, everybody. How goes it? Happy Friday, even though it's not Friday, right? And as you guys noticed, my beautiful wife actually combed her hair for the live tonight.
Hey!
That's exciting, right? Way to go. Hey, a couple things before we get going tonight. First of all, the agenda. So I'm hoping today that we're going to tell the story of the Midwest Preparedness Project and the story of the community and how it all came to be. There's many, many people in this room who've traveled these incredible journeys. And obviously we can't put everybody up on stage, but we're going to bring a few people up to talk a little bit about their journey and where they fit in all of that. But a couple real quick things I want to point out real quick. Combat midwife, raise your hand. See her over there? Jessica, go like this. See her over there? The combat midwife, she has some really interesting midwife bags. If you guys are interested to add, you can't hear me? Oh. Let's try this. How about that? Hey, look at that. Anyway, she's got some really cool midwife bags. If you guys are interested in adding to your preps, go see Jessica. Jessica, wave your hand one more time. There she is. Okay, cool. Excellent. Hey, a couple things. This week, I've been so blessed, as you have been, right?
Yes,
Why have you been blessed?
because I'm married to you.
See, this is called proper training. No, we've been blessed. We had food forest abundance out at our property, and we got to walk and look and see all of the things out there. And I just want to give a hands up to Lindsay and Graham over there for thank you for your contributions. You made me a better person. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, you guys know that on the lives quite often I share with you guys funny things that my wife does because she's just crazy. But I thought I'd share a story with you guys before we get going. So we were sitting at the table getting ready to come out here 2 nights ago. You don't even know the story I'm going to tell.
What are you talking about?
Okay. Anyway, I got in trouble for stealing her phone.
Yeah.
I got in trouble. And can you please tell these beautiful people where the phone was?
In my hands.
She was holding it. Crazy. Anyway, we're going to do a giveaway today, guys. So you guys see the solar generators that are up front. So we're going to give one away to the people here at the Midwest Preparedness Project. We're going to give one away online. Okay, so how the online one works is there's a random comment generator. So the more comments that are on there, the more that every one of those comments is an entry to win. So once we get to that point, Patrick, you'll be doing that, right?
Yeah, I'm going to drive that bus.
Yes, he'll drive that bus. He'll hit the button. It'll generate a winner, and that's how that'll go. As you guys look, Bobby Spags is walking his way around handing out blue tickets, and we'll draw one of those blue tickets from the audience in order to give those things away. Cool? All right, off and go. Here we go. So what I thought we would do tonight, you guys, is talk a little bit about the Midwest Preparedness Project and how it came to be. And many of you guys may or may not know this, but this used to be referred to as the Survivalist Boards Campout. And in 2012, the very first one, which a lot of people don't know too, happened at Clinton Lake in Missouri with just a couple of us. And we went down and met a very interesting guy. But I got to tell you guys, I can't tell this story if I don't have Patrick. Right? Come over here, Patrick. Sit on the other side of me. Patrick has been my partner in crime in this endeavor since 2012. Well, that's probably a little bit before that, huh?
Data.
Yes, 2011. I go by many names. Data.
Yeah.
Patrick. Well, this is a little beach. Here's a baby.
Look at that. Did you notice I picked the tall one and the tall guy?
I'm a wee little guy.
Yeah. Patrick, will you share with everybody a little bit about why you're here, how you got here? Right? Because we're all in a different place in our journey, right?
Yeah.
So talk about the bucket.
So this is an interesting story. I've told a couple of you guys. Some of you guys here know this story. Here, let me get in here. Some of you guys know this story.
I stink.
He's pretty good. He smells like Old Spice and like knowledge.
Skin so bad.
I don't know what that smells like. Sandalwood, maybe? I don't know. Anyways, we moved here in like 2011, and we were desperate. Tara and I, we went through some hardships. We learned that we're not preppers and that we're going to die in the apocalypse. And so I made this desperate post on the boards like he's talking about, and a dude named Andy found me, and he ported me up with Tag. And next thing you know, after a whirlwind courtship, we dated for a couple of years, and then we started having kids, and here we are. I mean, wait, that's the wrong story. We're at the Midwest Preparedness Project.
Yeah, I think you stay there. I think what's interesting about that is, again, we're all in a different place in our journeys, and everybody that's in the audience today could tell the same story, right? Of a journey and the journey that we go through. And I just wanted to make sure that I said in front of everybody here today, because I'm not good at these kinds of things, that none of this would be here today, even from the very beginning, if it wasn't for you, Patrick.
And you.
So I appreciate that. So anyways, we did that at Clinton Lake. You can leave now.
First one was not terrible.
You can leave.
Oh, we got Mike.
Get off my stage.
Yes, sir.
The campouts really, for most people, believe that they started at Wilson Lake, which would have been actually the second camp out. But so we went up to Wilson Lake, and I don't know if you guys remember Wilson Lake.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Scott.
this was the hottest.
That was yes, I splashed you. That was the naked camp out.
That was the
Yes.
naked camp out. You want to explain what? Come here, come back. Tell us what the naked camp out is. There you go. Tell us what the naked camp out is.
That camp out was so hot. There was probably 50 families out there sleeping with their tent flaps flapping in the wind, and no one cared. And we were all miserable. Chief tried to do like a Bantam death march and took people on a hike through, I don't know, no man's land. They were in the Badlands. Yeah, and a bunch of people came back looking like they were dehydrated and ready to fall out. But it was horrible. We all slept virtually near or next to naked that night, and it was just it was
Miserable.
sticky.
It was miserable.
Things were sticky.
Yeah, we decided to get in the lake while we were out there, and Data decided to splash me in the face with water. And if any of you guys know me, that ain't cool.
I didn't splash her in the face with water. I splashed her in the face with water that fish have sex in.
Yes.
Those are the words she used.
And this became a big issue that lives to this day, right? Yeah. Are you going to get a lake with Data anytime soon?
Never.
Why not?
Because I don't want it in my face.
Are you living in the past?
Nope. I just know data.
Yeah, so I'd like to bring up, if he'd come up, hey, Chief, come here. This is where we met Chief. And he's been around a long time, and as you can see from his gray hair, he's been around a lot for a long time, huh?
That mic is hot. That red mic's hot.
All right, that mic's hot for you, but that mic's hot right there, yeah.
It's hot for you.
It's hot for you. All right. So how'd you come to be in all this?
Well, a couple different ways. We saw the original post online about, some people are interested. We're looking at preparedness, and we're going to have to get together. So it's like, yeah, okay. So our group went out to Lake Wilson, and we met on the boards prior to, and we're talking about it. It was pretty interesting. And it's like, yeah, okay, we'll try it. And it's like you said, it was hot, very hot.
You want to talk about your hike that you took everybody on that I refused to go on?
You were the smart one.
Dude, I had enough packs on my back in my
I
life.
had two, but no, we had around Lake Wilson. There is a hiking trail. They've got a 6 mile and like about a 2.5 mile one. And we took the 2.5 mile one. We had about there was probably about 10, 12 of us on the hike, and everybody finished it. We made it halfway through. We played in the lake. We finished the last half of it. We had an older lady that was bound and determined she was going to finish it. And one of the younger kids ended up carrying his pack and her pack, because we did this with a bug out bag on. So, and we were probably at about 98, 99 degrees, and it was not one of our smarter moves. But it gave us a chance to meet people and see what they were made of. Then there's a tag train.
What's the tag train?
Tag train, very interesting deal. This was our theoretically, as he said, their second one, our first one. And we're sitting there around the campfire, and we're talking about, hey, maybe we ought to do this again. Let's try this. Everyone is having fun.
Yeah.
And like, okay, well, who wants to do it? The Nathan Makins is the one that did the first one. He hosted it. And kind of sitting there talking, and everyone kind of mumbling, maybe. And next thing I know, it's just like, hey, Chief can do it. All in favor? And the next thing I know, the tag train ran right over me. So I got to host the second one, and it was a good time.
Yeah.
And there ain't no brakes on the tag.
No, there ain't.
Yeah.
Because we've all been hit by the tag train.
It goes something like this. I think Tag should host an S camp out. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign, motion carries.
That is about the speed of the tag train. We did have a lot of fun. We've met a lot of people, and like I say, I see a lot of you out here that I have met at other one of the campouts, and consider a lot of you friends. It's good to meet the people that that you can rely on when things go south. And there's not a one of them out here that I would work with or help, including these two up here. Love you guys both.
Isn't it crazy?
It is.
12 years.
Yeah, that's been a long time.
12 years.
We've had some good ones. We had some bad ones.
I'm surprised you made it this long.
Well, I'm surprised you did. You're just, you're grayer than I am.
Good.
So it's been great. I mean, you've met a lot of good people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been amazing. Well, I appreciate you coming up.
Not a problem. Thank you very much.
Hey, one other thing that happened in this campus, you guys know, is Bartertown was born. And for those of you guys have never experienced Bartertown, we'll do it later on tonight. And that's where we will gather all of our goods. No money's allowed, and we'll practice commerce tonight. It'll be a whole lot of fun. But Bartertown was born. From there, we went on to Tuttle Creek. Anybody how many people were at Tuttle Creek? Any hands? Who was all at Tuttle Creek? See, just a few of us. This group has actually lived through a tornado out camping. You guys remember that?
Yep.
It rained so hard and had a tornado go right on top of us, right at the lake. And we've got all these tents up, and this is early in our adventure, so we weren't very skilled. But we absolutely made it through it.
Flooded.
That's the one that flooded. Well, that's one of them that flooded. There's a worse story coming. Right. So in 2014, we went to Marion, and then we found Lake Perry, which was our home for many years.
Yep.
Right. And so in 2015 at Lake Perry, there was a couple of the characters that we met that have played a gigantic role. The first one I'd like to introduce you to is Mo. Mo, you want to come up here? Come on, Mo. So me and Mo actually share a pretty interesting bond. When I lost my career,
Want more space than data head.
yeah. When I lost my career in 2020, Mo also lost his, and for the same reasons over COVID. And so let me try to get him in there. Look how pretty he is. So me and Mo, as we kind of were going through the journey at the exact same time. And so when I was flustered, I called him. When he was flustered, he called me. We were building homesteads at the exact same time. We were building houses at the exact same time. And it was fascinating to me because the way he prioritized things, water was at the front of your list and electricity wasn't very far. For me, solar was at the front of my list, but water was behind. And so we got to learn from each other a whole lot. But Mo, tell some of your memories of these campouts and how you came to be here.
Well, you need this, or they won't be able to hear you.
Okay. There you go.
Sorry.
Well, I was part of a parallel group, I think.
Yeah, talk about that. That's important.
So there's a group called well, it was based off American Prepper Network, I believe. So as far as I know, that group was 2004 time frame.
Yeah.
So way back.
Way before.
And so that group started meeting physically probably about 2005 with the Jim Miller.
Mhm.
Yeah, those meetups, and we started doing camping probably the year after that. I remember Bobby being at that camp out, or some of the camp house. So I think, Pete, were you there?
The one up at
It was above Salina. So, yeah. So I've been going to those events for a while, and work kind of took me away at the time. I couldn't go to one of them. I was out of town or something, and I had this tent that I wanted to set up, and so I came to the board's event and to set up my tent. So it took I wanted to be around people. The tent wasn't a small tent, so make sure I couldn't get it up. I could have people help me, and also just for fellowship.
Yeah. That's actually how you and I met.
Yeah.
He was putting up his tent, and I just walked over and said, "Can I help you?"
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Something so simple like that ends up in a friendship of years. Yeah. Yeah, years and years. So tell us about, you have any good fond memories? Funny things, crazy things?
Oh yeah. There's that
PG-13 thing?
Oh yeah. I'll leave it's all poop.
Yes.
It's
You
PG
you
rating.
can say that one.
But
Yeah.
no, I'll leave that one out.
Founder.
But we did meet even beyond just going to campouts and things like that. Sometimes we go to dinner and stuff. So I remember one time I ordered we talked about this earlier. I ordered fish and chips.
Okay, hold on. Neon, come here. Wave, everybody. Neon, wave. Okay, before he finishes the story, this is a great story. Neon. Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Neon.
She's actually going to make the story several times tonight.
So anyways, yeah, I ordered fish and chips, and of course I get out my fish and fries, and she's like, "You bring fries and not chips with this order. You need to replace." Like, no.
Yeah, Neon yelled at the waitress because he ordered chips. It was quite funny.
Yeah, it was nice of her to do.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Yeah, she had my back. That's exactly right.
And you also coined the phrase, it's all shit.
Yes,
Yes.
I may have done that. I may have done that.
Yep.
So, yeah, I remember one of in the KPN event. I remember Bobby Spags, him and Trekker. If people know the days of Trekker, now I don't want to get too involved into the sides of this, but the World Trade Center being one, planned or not planned, and so one of them took one side, one took the other side. That was an interesting few minutes, but even with a spirited discussion, we still got through it, and everyone was friends after the fact, and we just kept on plugging away.
Yeah, it's super cool. Well, Mo, I can tell you that you've made me a better person, and you've made me better homesteader. So I appreciate that, and I've enjoyed our friendship.
You're welcome, B.
Get off my stage. Yeah, so at that exact same camp out, in 2015, we also met Hancock. Where's Hancock at? All right, come here, man.
You ever feel him?
I guess I could move this too. There's been a lot of people who have contributed a lot of things, and most of you have contributed in big ways. But Hancock's contributed a lot. I mean, there's times he went home and built a mobile hot water station so everybody could have showers. My personal favorite memory of the campouts are I'm just minding my own business, and next thing I see is all this red smoke. The kids were playing Nerf gun wars, and it didn't dawn on me. And the next thing you know, here comes Hancock through the red smoke with 2 automatic Nerf guns,
With mask.
on his face, and he's so generous. He told the kids that whoever collected the most bullets that he had shot could have his guns, and they were big, automatic Nerf guns. They were super, super cool. Another one of my favorite memories actually has to do with your wife. You probably don't know this, but when we met you the first time out at the camp out, Jules, your wife, looked Neon, because her name's Neon, looked right at Neon and said,
I was going to tell that.
"Oh, you tell her?" Looked right at Neon and said, "You don't look that bright."
She had all black.
She was all-
She had all black.
Yeah.
So
It was great. So tell us how you got here.
it was quite wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I like a lot of people in the country today who didn't pay attention for a majority of my life. And so when I did start paying attention, it was quite startling. I can't say that my wife was completely on board in the beginning. But I started putting things back. We started slow like most people, an extra can of this or an extra bottle of that, and maybe some fuel on the side, and it finally got to the point where I realized that the prep I was missing the most and needed the most was people. So I actually went on the boards, and I think I was talking to some people, and I believe it was Patrick that responded to me, and I went out and met him in Tag, and then we were invited to the next camping. So at that, and then it just kind of took off from there.
Yeah, you have any interesting memories?
Well, I mean, there's lots of them. Most of the memories that I have are, just some of the knowledge and wisdom that I've gleaned from the people that kind of have come and gone. Some of the experiences at the camp out, like some of the floods. It's like Palm de Terre when Chief and Barry out there cutting logs and building sidewalks through the campground, so everybody doesn't sink in the mud. And there was one at Perry where it rained all week, and so we had a tarp set up, and everybody's huddled onto the tarp, and there's a little fire. We're struggling all week to keep this little fire going at the end of the tarp, and so you really find out who you are and who the people around you are, and the memories I have are the ones where we struggled, where we had challenges, and as a group we came through.
Yeah, so you guys know, at this camp out, the name was officially changed from the Survivalist Sports Camp Out to the Heartland Midwest Community Camp Out. Is that right, Jada?
Yep.
It's going to change a few times.
It was the longest name ever.
Yeah, we apparently didn't know what we were doing. Again, Hancock, I've never told you this personally, but you've contributed a lot. And those contributions don't go unnoticed.
Thank you.
And I want you to know that. You can get off my stage too. So from there, we went on to Melbourne. Now, Melbourne was a pretty interesting place for me, and for several reasons. First of all, it was the very first camp out my daughter ever attended, and she's never known life without it. Ever. And you people are her family, and we talk about it takes the community. Well, it's this community that's raised her. Like I said, she don't know anything different. Melbourne was also cool because we really started the giveaways at that time, right?
Oh, yeah.
Data.
Yeah, that's where we had enough prizes. I think at that particular camp out is where we had enough prizes. What did we do? Like 3 giveaways?
3 or 4 rounds, yeah.
Like we had to take people's tickets and put them back in the box so we could keep giving stuff away.
Does anybody still have any of the red, white, and blue paracord?
Where's Barry Montgomery? Barry showed me some the other day.
Did he?
Yeah, he still got a
I don't have any more left. We had at that camp, but I don't know what it was. How many thousands of feet of paracord? But
2 miles.
oh my goodness, it was crazy. Patrick, anything else interesting from Melbourne from you besides the dragonflies?
That's a dragonfly. I was gonna say the dragonflies were amazing. The mosquitoes and the dragonflies.
Yeah.
That's where Snugs got his name, wasn't it?
That is where Snugs got it. Was that?
Was it Perry?
Was that Perry?
Yeah, it was up at the teardrop.
Okay.
Teardrop.
Yeah. So after we got done at Melbourne, we went and did back-to-back deals at Perry. Now I was hoping Garen was going to be here today. Did Garen ever make it?
Oh man.
Well, all right. Well, I'll tell his story anyway. But Garen showed up at a camp out alone with a hammock and proceeds to put his hammock up in the trees. We've never met this guy before. Gets everything set up, walks to the fire, sits down, and says, "What do you say about the sandwich?"
I don't remember. I wasn't there.
We asked him. Go ahead.
It was a bunch of ladies. They were sitting around the campfire. So Chris Greenhow and Patty and a bunch of other ladies were sitting around the fire, and he was making off comments about how women, people were asking, "Where's your wife?" And he was like, "Oh, she's at home in the kitchen, making me a sandwich."
Yeah.
Where she ought to be.
Yeah. Well, you guys should. There's so many strong ladies here. You should have seen the head snaps, right? And so Garen instantly was, enemy number 1.
Well, there's a pack. Yeah,
there was a pack. He officially got the whole clan on him, and it was amazing to watch. But in the end, what it turned out to be is he was all talk. He's a big, marshmallow. He ain't got any of that in him. And I was going to bring him up here today, but he didn't make it. But someone I would like to bring up, if they would be willing to, is Darren. Patty, if she'll come with him. She normally won't, but
Garen's wife does make good sandwiches.
Yeah, his wife does make good sandwiches. That's true. We've kind of been on this theme tonight about, the contributions of the community. And, Darren's going to be way at the top of this list too. Darren is quite the MacGyver, has the YouTube channel Hacks for the Homestead. But fixes everything, repairs everything, brings everything out. I mean, how many years have you brought firewood to the camp out?
No, not all of them, but several, yeah.
Yeah, a whole bunch. And you guys notice he's wearing a free man hat, and that's because he got free.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That was several years ago.
Yeah. So tell us about your journey to all of this.
This run across that come out of several groups out of Kansas City from the Kansas City Prepper Network. It's where I met Mo. It's where I met Data. And just started building friendships from there. Actually, Billy Bond, you probably know him. He was a good friend out of that bunch, and we actually decided to get a Craigslist property up north where I'm still at, and went in together and bought that with a third family, Dylan and Chris, and we're still there. But Billy moved on, and he's still doing good things. But out of those friendships, we started to realize that the homesteading thing was something we could teach, and that's where we're at now, is sharing what we've learned. And we're still learning. I don't think you never learn it all, but we're still learning and teaching what we do know and have learned, so that our mistakes, maybe I know Tag has learned on our water systems of how not to freeze your systems up, and he's going through his own now, because every design's a little different. So you can catch most of it, but It's been a journey. We raised 5 kids in the city, and we've always had gardens. Growing up, I had my grandma close, and I learned a lot of stuff from the Depression era, as far as that goes, and what's important. My Aunt Tina's in her 80s now. The only kid left of that bunch, and she thinks we're doing great things. So I would hope that I'm doing the right thing and trying to share that knowledge. But what else? Oh, I was gonna make a note. Garen's not here because he popped a head gasket on the Jeep. So then I gotta add that to my list this next week to go see what's going on with that. So that's why he's not here. But yeah, I'm the backseat MacGyver guy that's helping out everybody. We still got to get. I was gonna get the excavator on the list this week, and it seems like it's getting pushed again. Our community has an excavator that was given to us, and we got to get that running. So,
Well, but we talk. What's that?
that's getting done this week. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, hey Scott, say that one more time. Thank you, Scott. You guys have contributed a lot, but and I know you guys know this, and I speak about it on my channel all the time. And for you out there in the audience, this are the people I always talk about are the freest people I know. And the way they have managed to do it, the way that because it's very unique, how you guys pulled it off. But someone who searches for freedom every single day and tries to push the envelope, to both you, Darren and Patty, you guys have been an inspiration to me in that I have something to follow and something to look up to. But you guys are the freest people I know.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you can get off my stage.
Trash. All right.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh yeah, right there. 2017, we went to Palm de Terre. And how many people were at the Palm de Terre camp out? Oh, look, a lot more hands. This is where I met Kevin McMillan at. And you guys, I'll tell you an interesting story. You guys all know that I'm involved with EMP Shield, right? Did you know that EMP Shield would not exist if it wasn't for Kevin McMillan and the Palm de Terre camp out? Like a fact.
Kevin!
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kevin, you want to come visit? I didn't ask you, but you want to? All right.
Kevin.
Come on, applesauce.
Well,
We'll have
anybody
to-
know why?
we'll ask him. We'll ask him. What's that?
Is it a spicy cinnamon applesauce or just like a normal applesauce?
Earlier he was carrying a bag and an applesauce.
Was he?
Yeah,
Today?
I think it was yesterday.
Oh. Kevin?
Yeah.
B said she spotted you with a Bud Light and a jar of applesauce.
Might be true. Well, applesauce is right there.
You want to share with these kind people why they call you applesauce?
Well, actually, so in one of the first campouts, actually the first camp out my wife came to, we were lucky enough not to have nicknames at that point. And my wife had decided to make a bunch of homemade applesauce and bring it for Bartertown and everything. And there happened to be another Kevin at camp out, and they were talking about Kevin and everything. And it just happened to be, it's like, well, which Kevin are you talking about? And it's like applesauce Kevin. His wife brings all this applesauce and that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
And she got hot sauce. And together they make the sauce clan. Right?
yeah.
So what kind of memories you got? How'd you get to all this?
Well, actually, so a lot of it started out with, what became Full Spectrum Preparedness and everything, the preparedness expos and everything, and made some acquaintances there. And one of them was on the survival boards and had sent me a link talking about the camp out coming up at Palm de Terre. So I talked to a couple guys. It's like, hey, are you interested in going down to this thing, checking it out? And one of the guys was going to ride his motorcycle down. He called me a few days ahead of time. He's like, hey, I heard there's a chance of rain. So let's you use my carpool. I was like, sure. It's like 5 hours, 6 hours, something like that. So 8 inches of rain later, we end up at this camp out and, got to, it's like, well, basically there's a big tarp up in the trees and everybody is congregated around this thing. And I just remember we had to move this tarp around, about once a day because it looked like cattle around a bale ring. It was just ankle deep mud and nasty. but yeah, it's like some of the best sleep I got. I had my little tent out there, and the ground was so saturated. I remember it was just like a memory foam. You just lay in it and just sink in about 3 inches, and it just hugged you.
Remember Seamus when he was out there digging the trenches around the tents to try to keep the water out of them?
Yeah, yeah. So we had, I mean, it was like a little medieval village where we had moats around every castle and, drawbridges to be able to walk through everything. So
Yeah, Chief, where's Chief at? Raise your hand, Chief. Where's he at? He's here somewhere. Over there. One of my fondest memories of this camp out was everyone was soaking wet, and Chief was the only one with a wood stove in his tent. And so we were drying everybody's clothes in his tent in an effort to try to stay dry. And it was just neat to see them just come together. As Hancock was mentioning, it's the tribulation, right? And it's how you accomplish and how you get through some of those things was kind of, my favorite memory. Yeah. Was that Barry's tent?
Very stiff.
That's Barry's tent. Yeah, what great memories. Anything weird you remember of all these campouts? Anything fun? Anything you want to share with all these fine folks?
I think that was, I mean, honestly, the Palm de Terre was definitely, I hear a lot of people thought it was like, oh my God, that was the worst camp out ever. And I was like, honestly, that's kind of the best camp out ever, because it was one of those things where, we were all forced to get together and to talk and stuff like that. And, I mean, the guy I rode down with is, unfortunately he's not here today, but Zach, he is like probably one of the most interesting cats I've ever met. And we were forced to just talk for 5 hours, and, so really got to know him and, and some of the people around there and stuff like that. So, and like I said, from that point on, it's, really, so I don't know what we had 50 people at that camp out, and I don't know where we're at today, but, so I think, other than that, really, so the one camp out that my wife and I were kind of in charge of doing was, I think it was a fall camp out in October, maybe end of October. And I think the high that week was 32. And I think we ended up with about 25, 30 people there, and was probably the most miserable I've ever, been for that, but still getting to see how people tough it out and get to see the people that showed up.
Yeah, so as a mom with a little kid, what was it like for you? You remember Palm de Terre? No?
No,
Is that all you got to say?
it wasn't. No, I don't remember it.
Oh, okay.
Before I lost my dog. That's the one where we lost Riley. Don't you remember we had Riley with us? And next thing we know, he was walking on the trail with a random couple. And they brought him back to us. It's like, oh, hey, your dog led us to you guys, and we found your village. You guys don't remember that?
I don't remember that either.
Riley was like the camp mascot back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the one who found you,
Yeah.
she was like, your dog's walking out to those people.
Yeah.
Guys, we've told stories about people who have contributed, and Kevin and Christy has contributed as much as anybody. And Kevin, you're quieter, you're behind the scenes more. You've made as big an impact as anybody. Christy, you too, wherever you are, have made as big an impact as anybody. And this whole place wouldn't be the same if it wasn't for you. And I appreciate that. Now I serve on a board with Kevin, so I have to be much nicer. You're excused if you'd like to, sir. All right. So from Palm de Terre, we went and did. You're so nice. She's keeping track for me. Later in 2017, we went on to Lake Perry, which is actually where we met Angela. I don't know if Angela's even around. Where's Yoda? Is she back there?
Cooking.
Okay.
Making sandwiches.
Okay. If she's free, bring her up. I'd love to hear from her. Yeah. So if you guys can imagine this camp out. So sandwiches, right? So we had met Garen, and Garen did this big pretend thing. I'm this big tough Marine guy, and my wife is home and she's making sandwiches. And then we met Yoda. Everybody laughs because you all know Yoda. And it completely changed. His whole story collapsed. He wasn't tough at all. Do you agree with that?
I agree.
Yeah, so it was quite funny, but hopefully she'll come up and share a couple thoughts with us. Is she? Okay. How's everybody out there in the audience, by the way? Yeah, look at that. And we got a ton of people on there chit-chatting. Hopefully we can give away some solar generators, huh?
Support tag we've collected. Let me see. Fresh.
It is almost 90 degrees and she's in a coat.
She's an odd duck.
Jack. I was trying to mod the wrong channel.
Would you?
Little Midwest.
Okay. It's right on there. Yeah. Yeah, I can't change it from here. Hey, Yoda. Hey, we want to tell a story. You into that? So we were talking about the first camp out when your husband came out and how he was talking about how you
Mike.
yeah, you got a mic right there, bud. Yeah. So he was talking about how you were exactly where you should have been at home making sandwiches. And so
Not sandwiches, sandwiches.
sandwiches. And so now we fast forward to your first camp out.
Uh,
And so when you came out and how your husband's story completely fell apart.
I did. He was supposed to help me. I was cooking breakfast and he was in charge of dumping grease and doing all that. And here he's clear across camp talking with all of his buddies, doing all that. And I hollered for him. I said, "Hey, I need your help." And he said, "1 minute." 5 minutes later, "Hey, I need your help." 1 minute. 10 minutes later, I finally get out of the tent and I go, "Ow, get over here. You got pans to do, take care of." And so then B comes up to me in neon and they literally said, "Man, we thought he was a wife beater. We didn't realize your husband."
Yeah, the story was totally different than what it was portrayed by Garen.
Right.
You know, at the first camp out. Hey, would you? I don't know if everybody even knows this about you guys, but share the story a little bit about how you ended up in Kansas because it's been a lot of sacrifice for you guys, and it's been a lot of work for you guys, and you gave up a lot.
Yeah.
And all to do with COVID, et cetera. But if you don't mind sharing just a little bit, I think it'd be good for everybody to hear.
Yeah, I don't mind. So my husband spent most of his life in the military, graduated from Whitworth Military Academy, and then went to the Marine Corps. We got out of the Marine Corps. We moved to Missouri. That's where his family's from. My family moved to Missouri. And so we went back there. And eventually he worked for the hospital for a little bit, but then he went back to the DOD to work at the DOD, get our retirement back. So we bought our retirement back. Anybody in the military knows how that works. So we invested, did all this stuff. And after a couple of years, COVID came, and the government decided that they were going to force all DOD workers, all contractors, and all military members to take the jab. And so my husband came home, and he can be a sensitive guy. He looks mean, but he's a teddy bear. And he sat down on the couch.
He makes you sandwiches.
Right. No, he doesn't. I don't like his cooking. Yeah. And so sat down on the couch and we were talking. And he says, "I got something to tell you." And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "If I'm going to keep my job." And he said, "What do you mean if?" And he said, "I'm going to get fired." And he said, "Eventually it's coming." And he said, "No, in the military, they're telling me 3 months, but the military is going to take too long. But by January, I will not have a job." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "They're going to force me to take the jab if I want my job." And then he sat down, the man who is very devoted to his country, and he looked at me and he said, "I've been lied to my entire life, and that hurt me." And so I said, "Well, what do we need to do? We need to come up with a solution, right?" And he said, "There's only one solution." And I said, "What's that?" "Our community is in Kansas. We have built our community in Kansas." And so we decided that he was going to quit his job. We tried to get transferred over here, try to make some things work. It didn't work out. And so we decided we were going to sell the homestead. And it was almost finished. We were ready to pull cattle in. And it was absolutely beautiful. We had everything established, fence worked on, and all that. And so we were like, "Okay, I support you 100%. What do we need to do?" And I was a real estate agent successfully for a long time out there. And he said, "Put the house up for sale." He said, "We got to sell everything." So we talked to Tag, and so what are we going to do? And Tag gave us some very hard advice. I was still holding on to the city and the conveniences of everything. And all I could see is what I was losing. And then when it came to money and what we were going to do with money and how we were going to handle investments and all that, Tag made a point, tangibles. It needs to be tangible. You've got to make sure that you invest in these things. And I said, but that's not how I was raised. I was raised to save everything. Everything went in the bank. So there were a lot of stories like this that were going on. And I probably cried every day. Every time I saw a tag cry, I cried on your shoulder pretty much. And so, I mean, it was just very encouraging that our community was pushing me through and pushing Garen through and giving us the encouragement that we can do it. And so Garen and I said, we're going to put everything over in God's hands and we'll see what happens. The first day we had our house on the market. Cannot believe this. The first day we had our house on the market, we had to sit in a Mexican restaurant for 8 hours because we had 13 showings. And so we were sitting in there. Now I was handling everything. And I had an agent texting me, and other agents were putting in an offer. I'm not gonna lie, I had a couple beers because I'm nervous about what's going on. We were with friends of ours. And one realtor, he said, I want an answer, and I want an answer by 10 p.m. on what they had offered. They offered $25,000 over ask, took the house as is, no improvements, and we sold the house. They allowed us a 45-day closing so that we could move all of the livestock. We had livestock on Tag and B's property. We had livestock on Hack's property. And I mean, it was just a mess. I had stuff in my godsister's farm. I had stuff on Tag's place. We had stuff everywhere. It was just strung everywhere. And so anyway, we get there and, oh, I got to tell you this. So after we got the contract on the house, he gets a call on Monday and the tribal government wants an interview with him for a job. So he said, okay, when's the interview? They said Wednesday. And so he goes and does the interview on Wednesday, drove out here and did the interview. By Friday, he had a job. So within 1 week, we had our house sold, had a new job, and moved into a dilapidated place. And my husband, the way he convinced me, we were going to build a place out at Tag and B's. And the way we were building it ourselves. We were not carpenters, so it was very difficult. And he said, I want to burn this place down. And so he said, I found a house. And so we go walking over there to go see it, to laid the hammers down, went to go see it, and we're looking at it. And I said, oh, dear Lord. The guy was a hoarder. Both of them had dementia, and there was stuff everywhere. We inherited 500 tires. We inherited 1,000 barrels. Yeah, it was a lot. It's right now. It's a backboard for guns for the shooting range, and so anyway, we get through all that, and all he kept telling me, "Can you see the vision? Can you see what we can do with this place?" And I'm trying to be a supportive wife. Dude, yeah, this is going to be great. And 2.5 years later, I'm like pulling my hair out. I thought you said I could see the vision, and so it's frustrating. You have highs and lows. But I'll tell you one thing, and it was really interesting to me. We were homeless for 2 days because of the closing, and then we could close on our house. And so we stayed with Tag and Me. They graciously opened their home to us and our maddening dogs and everything else. And so we get there, and the first thing Tag looks at Garen and says, so how do you feel, bud? And Garen said, I feel like a creep.
Yeah, how powerful is that? Now I want to tell you guys more part of the story because one of the things you guys I think inspires so many people to do is they took a pretty nice house, cashed in all the equity of it, right? Took that equity and bought a homestead free and clear that was old and needed work. So they took the resources that were available to them and got free. And today they live without mortgage. Today they live without those things because they made a few sacrifices to go and chase that dream of living free.
A 65% pay cut is what we took.
But you can do it because you don't have debt anymore.
You can
do it because you don't have a mortgage. You can do it because you starve the beast.
Right.
And how cool is that?
It's very cool.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I certainly appreciate. I wish Garen was here.
I wish he was too.
Because watching him, it was hard because he went through these cycles.
Yes.
At first he was pretty excited, and then when he woke up and realized he lost his homestead where everything was already built.
Yeah. It was really funny because as we've been working on it, you always told me you have to look beyond the bark.
Yeah.
Get your head out of the bark. And he's like, this is super maddening. I can't figure it out. Well, he was building a new porch for us on the front, and he had to get up on the roof. And he was sitting up on the roof, and for the first time, he was able to see beyond the forest.
Yeah.
And he came in and he said, I get it now. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Really cool. It's a big moment for my personal life, right? To be part of that journey because it
Yeah.
was kind of crazy.
Well, I mean, we're families, so
Right.
you know.
Right. Amen. Well, I appreciate you coming up here.
Well,
And I'll
thank
be
you.
nicer to you too. You can-
You're not going to be nicer to me. You lie.
All right, get the hell off my face. You know, it's interesting to me to relive all this stuff.
Huh?
It's interesting to relive it all. You know, I haven't talked about these things in years, you know? Anytime. All right, so the camp out moved at this point to Perry full time. So from this point on, we didn't move around anymore. We just went to Lake Perry every single time. It was our home, which again is where the Midwest Preparedness Project, kind of comes to be. We attempted in 2019, Patrick and I came up with this brilliant idea that we were going to try a tri-state camp out. And we would contact Missouri and we would contact Nebraska. And everyone would come, right? Everyone's coming, right? All you got to do is make a couple connections and we'll flood the gates. Yeah, that didn't work out so good. Right. I still blame Patrick for that one. You agree? You agree?
Did all the work, so I might as well take all the blame.
So we stayed at Lake Perry through 2019. 2020 came, and there was no camp out in the spring, as you can imagine, with everything that was going on there. But in the fall, we went back to Perry. And actually, this was the camp out at Applesauce, or Kevin McMillan, who you guys have met. He put on that camp out. But we had another real big thing happen to us as we lost our first community member, Jerry Moore, who, how many of you guys knew Jerry? There'll be a few of us here. Yeah, so Jerry was an older guy who, man, that guy, he had everything. I still have equipment that I bartered from him, at Bartertown. And we lost him to COVID that year. It was sad, to lose somebody. It was kind of our first example, inside the community where we had to experience that. And so we officially renamed Bartertown to Mooretown, after that event. Because if you guys knew Jerry, dude, the guy had so much stuff. I'm sure he drove his wife nuts. I mean, he was a stack it to the ceiling kind of guy. Patrick, anything you want to add about Jerry? You knew him pretty good.
Everybody here, but if Jerry was here right now, he would be sitting over there talking to Patch and making Patch's eyes roll back in his head. If Jerry was here right now, he would be telling you about the atrocities and horrors he witnessed in Vietnam and why we, as a generation, are losing ground.
Yeah.
Jerry Moore was a patriot.
Yeah, he was a patriot. We also had another bad thing kind of happen right after that. We lost our second community member, and this was a young kid who, really never forgetting. He was a nuclear scientist studying at K-State University on top of his class. I mean, literally a nuclear scientist. David Terrell was his last name. Jacob Terrell. Sorry, Jacob Terrell. And we lost him at that time too. And it was kind of hard to me just come off Jerry Moore, and kind of have another one. You want to talk about him in any way? Because you knew him pretty good too.
Yeah, it was another one of those, tragedies that came from COVID. He was an absolute freedom lover. He was trying to organize cells, behind enemy lines on a liberal college campus. He was working with professors and identifying people that could help, organize on campus, and move that political movement. And when COVID forced him into looking at either getting kicked out of his intern program and being forced to pay back the hundreds of thousands of dollars, it forced him into a financial desperate situation, and it cost us our friend.
Yeah, he took his own life, and it was hard, for all of us. But this kid had everything going for him. I mean, he was, a future scientist that was going to do really cool things someday.
Taught us about radiation.
Oh yeah, I don't know if I can say that. We had some cool.
We talked about that.
He brought some examples of radiation from his laboratories to come out, and we could play with the Geiger counters. And
it was groundbreaking technology. He was working on a new silicon wafer that utilizes like some kind of nuclear membrane. He was so proud of it. It was going to change the world. These professors were oodling over stealing his, his stuff. And I think that was part of the problem that pushed him over the edge.
Yeah. In 2022, again, we were still at Lake Perry. Really the only big thing that happened there is we, cooked a sheep for the first time. And I wish Matt DeVader was here because I would bring him up to talk a little bit about that. But for me, it was also a big deal because that was really the last year I was heavily involved in the organization of the Midwest Preparedness Project. I'm not super involved anymore. I donate, I speak if they want me to, and get sponsors or speakers or those kind of things. But the next guy I would like to bring up kind of picked up that mantle and took off. Where's Bobby Spags at?
Camp out with Matt. Tamara was the victim. So Tamara had like a sheep's head running around, and like she had two girls following around like little, like satellites. And it was so cool. That was one of the most unique things ever. I'd never seen a 9-year-old girl running around before with a sheep's eyeball on a stick until that camp out.
Yeah, so Bobby's going to be able to tell a little bit different of a story because his story is just as long. It's just a different circle. Right. And so Bobby came from, he was the promoter of the Topeka Preparedness Expo, amongst other things. But how'd you get to all this?
I got to all this through you. You were the one that reached out to me in my time of need. The story really goes something like this. I was a military contractor out of Forbes Field, and the mandate came down in 2020, and I, of course, being who I am, said not only no, but you can probably tell what I said. And I turned in my 2 weeks notice. I looked at my wife and I said, prepare to be poor. I'm not going to have an income in about 2 weeks. And she supported me with that. Somehow he found out about this. I still, to this day, I don't even remember how you learned this. And you met with me at the
Brewery.
Norseman, at the Norseman Brewery up in Topeka, and you offered me a job. Well, now I'm working as a contractor for EMP Shield, and a guy all of us know, Crispy, looks at me and goes, well, are you going to finally come to one of these campouts? And I said, okay, I guess. I'm not going to lie. I was on prepper burnout after Pete and I were doing the Kansas Prepper Expos, and we ran full spectrum preparedness and FSP Topeka and all these different things. And it wears on you. The social capital you have to put into something like this is enormous. And so I finally came out, and Patrick was someone I had met briefly at one of these things. And I specifically sought him out because I had always wanted to talk to him at the expos. And so we started talking, and I was like, hey, if you need, I can give a class at some point. So he's like, sure, come out and give a class. And I gave the Prepper Dynamics class that you had attended with, I think, Matt DeVader at FSP Topeka. Yeah. At which point I'm like, man, anything I can do to help. And so Patrick and I were like, yeah, let's team up and, I will form the head. And it was like a Voltron cartoon. Yeah. So at that point, I just kind of, I tend to be a bulldog, balls to the walls. I didn't stop, and I just started making phone calls and calling all these people I knew and coordinating with Tag and Patrick and a few others. Christy doing all the kids events and that sort of thing at the time. But we just willed this into existence at that point, I'd say.
Yeah, and talk a little bit about your beginning, because you were, you come from the Topeka Prepper Expo, a whole different circle, and those circles have kind of merged over time.
They have. The expos that we put on were far more vendor heavy. It was more of it was a gun show without so many guns, right? And we still had classes, and for the longest time we kept it free to attend. But that started to die down after Trump won office. A lot of people weren't necessarily scared anymore, and so the interest waned. But a lot of those people came over to this and started coming to this, like Crispy, Pete, Jared. A lot of those guys started coming over here, you, Patrick. And eventually we found out that the circle had just kind of picked up and moved, and it's almost picked up where it left off with the expo and continued with this campout.
Yeah, and that campout also was the first campout where we really had a organized kids schedule. And while I have a chance to do it, I do want to give a big shout out to Christy McMillan.
Let's see where you're at.
Yeah, she's like the super teacher who won't let us forget the kids that are out there, and is just taking it by the horn, and made them feel important. Because at the end of the day, guys, all of us are getting older, and who are we leaving this behind? Does this end with us, or do we get to pass it on to generations? And I appreciate Christy leading the way to ensure that happens, beyond all of us. Bobby, to you, bud, I appreciate the way that you are. And if I was going to go tackle something, whether that be combat, whether that would be a task, you'd be my first round draft pick, bud. Get the fuck out of this thing.
Yes, sir.
Hey, so other people I want to introduce real quick. If Bullet would come up, I'd like to talk to you. Bullet, you gonna come see me? So many characters, huh?
lot of character.
Oh my goodness, does it? I wanted to bring Bullet up because he is, I think, the only person that I can think of who came to this community 100% organically.
Yep.
I think you're right. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Rocky invited me to the.
You got to get your mic, or no one will be able to hear you.
Let me get that green chair in the back. I'm not kidding. Give me that green chair in the back, please. I'll do a demonstration on how to break somebody's chair earlier by sitting in, or later by sitting in it if you want.
You go around, not.
Here.
Okay.
Let's do
Tom,
this.
we get the chair. Please and thanks, sir.
Sorry.
Yes. How'd you come to be?
So I was invited to the Tri-State 2019 event with a locked gate at Perry and given a secret code to an unadvertised event and told to show up at this time and that thing. And
Did they blindfold you?
no,
Okay.
no. He was like, "Hey, dude, it's raining. If you're free this weekend, come on out, hang out with some folks." I said, "Okay, cool." So I did that, and from there, it turned into these deep relationships with all these folks, and then over time, kind of graduated into. Now I won't miss a single one. Now I schedule my time off around these things. Now I schedule my time off from work to be in service to everyone around me. To the stage that you lovingly refer to as yours.
Yeah.
Well, it's just mine till I walk off of it. The truth is, he owns this trailer. So everybody knows.
Stage. Yeah.
This is actually his.
Yeah.
But
No, but I built it for the project. I mean, I saw a need and I filled it. And that's, I think, one of the things I try to bring to the conversation when I talk to people about what we're doing here is bring your need, but bring your value, and look for opportunities to contribute to participate.
yeah, I don't think you give yourself enough credit, bud. Because it's so much bigger than this. I mean, how many times you hauled something for somebody?
Yeah.
I mean, we always talk about you want to have a community, you got to be willing to do your part plus a little bit. And if you're not willing to do that little bit, you might as well not be part of a community, right? And you've done your part plus a little bit.
Thank you.
By the way, if you guys don't know, he's a great at leather. And he's made my wife some journals and made some badass. Did you bring any of them? Your apron?
I sold them. Bobby has them all. They're all at his place at the smelting club. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are not for public display. If you want to join the smelting club, you can come take a look, and then we can talk. But yeah.
Well, it's interesting to me because I just met you randomly at a campout. Like most people who I know, there was some journey that I knew about. You had a journey though too, coming out of where you were, right? That wasn't super easy, right?
No, it wouldn't. The first two people that I met at that 2019 campout was Tag, Patrick, and they walked up to me and introduced themselves to me, and then the rest is just history from there. But our journey to get here started in Texas. Born and raised in Texas, in Houston specifically, and kind of been all over the place in Texas. And Laura told me for the first 18 years of our marriage or so that she'd follow me anywhere in Texas. And then for the third time in our life, we're 6 months away from bankruptcy. It's imminent. We can see it. We've been down that road before. We know what deed in lieu of foreclosure looks like. We know what complete exhaustion of all possible resources and no job for months on end. We know what that looks like. We know what it means to move and change jobs and all that stuff. And we're praying about it. We're looking for answers and trying to figure out what to do. And at the end of the day, we were brought here. God led us here. God led us to Kansas. And now that came out of a conversation with my best friend who was here earlier in the week, but is not here now. But so that basically got us here. And then that same year I was introduced to this group, and the rest is kind of history from there.
Well, I think there's more to the story though, right?
Which part do you want me to tell?
What I want you to talk about is how is it that now you're thriving? How is it now you're kicking its ass? Because you are.
How is it? I mean, community more than anything is what I would say.
You have a functioning homestead.
Yes.
You got infrastructure going in.
Yeah.
You're opening businesses.
Yeah.
You're kicking its ass.
Okay. Yeah, we are. I don't like talking about myself, and for most of my life, most of my life, people were always a problem, always the source of every problem I ever had. I didn't trust people. I didn't have to. When you're built like I am, when you're tall like I am, when you're a tank, the only thing you really can't do is climb inside the driver's seat of a Lamborghini. And who gives a crap about that, you know? So I learned how to do everything on my own. I learned how to be efficient. I learned how to move and just carry myself and be able to accomplish all that on my own. I got to a point where I couldn't anymore. And so when we got to our place in Kansas, I went slow, and I spent tremendous amount of time in observation, and I learned our land, and I figured out where the soil does, where the plants and everything grow. But just, yeah, over the last year or so, we've been in our homestead for 5 years now. And in the last two, we really decided that, okay, we now know enough about what we own. We've now decided that no, we're not moving again. It's going to take a quarter or a killdozer to get us off our land, no exceptions. And it's time to move forward. So we put a three-phase plan into action in 2023. We're at the final stages of that phase 3, and that third phase is bringing my wife's parents up from South Texas. They are on property. We have generation on property. We're in the process of building their cabin. We've planted over 300 trees on our property. This year we will see first fruits of our plum orchards that we planted. We have, so we have 92 chickens and 10 sheep, and we're going to build our second paddock before long. So that's.
I think one other thing I'd like to share everybody about Bullet is, I've never heard him ask what's in it for him. Right. And so, but I just want you to know that it don't go unnoticed, and you play a huge role in how this whole thing's work. And we see it, but
Thank you.
Get the hell off your stage.
You got it, brother.
Yeah.
Donate share this next.
All right, still rock on. I want to tell some stories of some people too who, it's like we talked about earlier, how, guys, the journey is real for everybody. And everybody has a story, and everybody has, some hurdle that they got, had to get over in order to get here. And I would love to see Caleb Martin up here if he'd come join me. Where's Caleb?
Come on, Caleb. Get up here, Caleb. You only want you for mushrooms.
Yeah. So this young man we call Sharpshooter. How you doing, Sharpshooter?
Fantastic.
There's your mic. So if we start this, bud, can you tell everybody why they call you Sharpshooter?
Oh, well, whatever it is, I'll nail it. Wood and flame.
We were building another homestead's house, and which I'm gonna bring those people up, by the way, before this is over. And but he shot himself with a nail gun. He got named Sharpshooter. And he's been Sharpshooter ever since. Caleb, I want you to know something, bud. You've inspired me for a long time. You might not know this, but I watched him and his family live life at a bare minimum, as hard as they could, as long as they could, so they could get debt free, and so they could be without a mortgage. And 3 or 4 or 5 campouts ago, Caleb was awarded his free man hat and is now living a debt free life. And I mean that, but I look up to you. Yeah. Will you tell us about your journey? Tell us about the story, how hard it was? Because I know it was hard.
Well, it's still going on. I mean,
of course.
Never gets easy out there. That's a misconception. It's not about the ending. There isn't one. It's the journey along the way.
Mike up.
Sorry, go. But it's for the longest time it was just Amber and I, and on one income, 4 kids, there's only so much you can do. And we prayed for a long time for unity and for a purpose, I guess. I don't know. And finally, we were presented and kept getting invited to these campouts. And Hitch kept inviting us. And then we had met you and tagged me over at Hitch's house and got to know everybody. And come to this campout. And finally, we were like, you know what, through hell or high water, let's make it this year. So we've missed a couple and we can come ever since. So
Yeah. Yeah, I've watched very few people in my life have the discipline that Caleb has. I remember the whole journey. I remember when his first two kids were young, and now the basketball team's all grown up, right? And literally, but to watch them when we'd say, "Hey, we're going to go out to have dinner. You guys want to go?" And they're like, "No, we got other priorities," And they continued down that road, and they stayed to it, and they stayed true to what their mission was, and got free. And I look up to that, bud. That ain't few people have the intestinal fortitude to pull it off. That says a lot about you and a lot about that. So I just can't compliment you enough. Well, what you got any advice to people who say they can't do it?
Oh, you can, yeah. You yoke up, find a community. I mean, you're all here. You have a purpose. There's definitely a way, and the people here will help with that most definitely. Because you can't do it by yourself. It's impossible.
Impossible.
Yeah, and without tagging the rest of them, I couldn't do it either. So,
well, I just want you to know. I want to say it super publicly. We're super proud of you. I know what it took, and you can get the hell off bullet stage. Yeah. You know what? Next, if they would, I'd like to have Mike and Jeanette, or Mike and Jeanette, or just Mike, whoever's willing to come be tortured by me for a moment. I'd love to have them. Oh, I'm gonna get them both. I need another chair. Someone hand me another chair.
He's gotta talk to us one at a time so we can get it all.
I'll do my best, but you'll manage me, right? I know you.
I don't think that's possible.
I think if anybody could do it, it's her.
Watch it.
You got it?
You're looking out.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna try to move the camera over there. So I'm gonna tell you guys a little story. So I was in Camden, Tennessee at the Self-Reliance Festival. One of the times that I went down there to speak, and I walk off stage, and this is where I met these people. And they just come up and we start talking about community, and talk a little more. And then one day there was a piece of property up for sale, and Jeanette decided to drive down herself. Right? Didn't you drive down?
That's the first one to come. The
wood.
Oh, that's right. So you guys came you came to a homestead rotation at my house. We put up firewood.
yeah, and I said, this guy's not half bad. You might want to go check it out.
Yeah. Yeah. But the funny story to me was when you came down, because okay, this was awesome. And we have a tendency to give people mean nicknames because it's just we're just mean that way. But so she comes down, and I get a phone back to B gets a phone call that says I'm stuck. So this was a rainstorm, and she decided to take a front-wheel drive little Hyundai down a minimum maintenance road in the backside of Kansas, which for those of you guys who know minimum maintenance roads, that's just not a good idea in a rainstorm. And so then I'm like, cool, I'm on my way. So I hop in my truck and head over there, and then I get my truck stuck. And so we called another member who came out and pulled both of us out. And so we affectionately call her MMR, minimum maintenance road.
When I first heard that, I was like, measles, mumps, and rubella. I'm a city girl. I didn't know anything about minimum maintenance roads, and I did not see a sign. But I realized once I started going down, it didn't look right. I started sliding, but I stopped right away. And luckily, I just passed the house, had my muck boots in the trunk, and so I just walked up to the house, knocked on the door, and luckily they were nice people, so I was able to call me.
Yeah, it was super cool. Well, there's a lot of, as I touched, everybody's got a story and everybody's got an adventure. But these two have been through quite the adventure. And I asked them when they got up on stage here today, when I was talking to them about it, to really share the ups and the downs of it, because I think it's more than just, hey, everything's gravy, right? Everything's easy, because it's simply not easy. So we convinced them that if they would buy all of the material, that we had the know-how to build them their house. Right?
True story.
Okay. So they got the basement installed. They bought all the material. It all showed up on site. The day came, and how many was there? 47 the first day?
Roughly.
Okay. 47 people showed up. We worked over the course of a couple days, and rough framed, right? Weather tighted, their house. And it was one of my best memories is I looked at Jeanette and I said, hey, is everything okay? And the look she gave me, I'll never forget. I actually have it on camera. And I snip clipped it out of the video because it was so powerful. The look on her face was like, what is happening to me? It was so powerful. Talk about this experience, because it's really powerful, I think.
Yeah, it's been
it's been a roller coaster for sure. We're both retired military. We retired and moved to Indiana and had a little homestead going on, and everything was okay, but we were missing community. We would look around us, and the people that lived around us were very closed off. So we started searching. She actually got a hold of the SOE, and we ended up getting tickets and going down to Self Reliance Festival and met Tag. So that's when I came out to see what community was all about, and everybody was over at Tags processing firewood. And I said, "Well, yep, this is community for sure." So I went back. She came out and visited. Next thing you know, we're looking on the internet, surfing Zillow, and we found a place, and we jumped on it. We were eating lunch. The listing popped. We drove that day, showed up the next morning, and put an offer in. It was quick.
He hadn't quite retired out of the military just yet, and moving to Indiana with everything that was going on, he's like, "I'm retiring from the military. I'm not moving again." I discovered Self Reliance Festival through Billy Bond because I had watched him. That's how I discovered Tag. That's how I went. Because at the time when I didn't know what was going on. I was just in the military having a good time. I'd been retired, enjoying my retired life while my husband was serving. And I went there and I learned that despite everything that was going on, it wasn't just about surviving. Because I was like, what's the point? It was about thriving, and that's where I learned and got a new attitude. And that was the first one I went to. That was it. That was with my daughter. And the next one I got to go again, and that's where I met Tag, because something that he had been talking about when he was talking to the group wasn't like everybody else that I heard. The thing that stood out the most was barter, because when you've lived in the city most of your life, you studied up, I was we were already debt free, just because that was just something that was always something that I worked towards, and just discovering a new way, something that was different. And then when we had the opportunity to go talk to him and other people that were in the group that are now part of or will be part of the community, it was just easy, and it just felt right and easy. Even when I came down here and I got stuck and calling them and coming out, it was like I already knew them. And when I came out, he did a homestead rotation with them. I came out because Angela was they were chicken processing at their neighbor's house. So I was like, great, I can go out there, I can meet somebody else in the community. He went, he liked it, because he had to have the buy-in. He was the one that said, "I will never move again." I was like, "You go out there first, because you're going to be the one that says, you're willing to do it." And he's like, "Okay, pretty decent, but you need to go out and you need to see for yourself too." So I got to go out and did that processing with Angela. I got to meet Garen, and I got to meet their neighbors. I got to go to the Hacks farm. I got to meet other people in the community, and I have to tell you that it was like I already knew everybody. It was just that easy.
Well, I'm going to follow that.
Yeah. Talk about the experience of having your house built in a tornado.
Yeah, so what's kind of crazy is we dumped everything that we had, and we liquidated, picked up roots, put everything in multiple trips, everything, sold it all, and moved out here. Right. So we kept vehicles and some of the stuff, but we threw everything at it. So I had been planning for a while to build the house. So I had all the materials on site. I did my homework, pre-positioning stuff. I've never built a house before. I've got a guy that encourages that a lot. Right.
You can do it.
Yeah, you could do that. I'm like, "Oh, sure, I could do it." So
it's easy.
I've got tens of thousands of dollars of material sitting out there and yet to be spent, and all of a sudden everybody just shows up and we just start building, and that's where she starts freaking out a little bit, because it's we threw everything at this. So stuff starts going up. People are shooting themselves in the hand with nail guns,
Bleeding all over the place.
bleeding all over the new foundation. But it went pretty well that day. Was everything perfect? No, it wasn't. But however, the time in which it went up and the community coming together made it absolutely worth it. Right. So we've had some little errors to fight along the way, but it was well worth it. And just to give you an idea, one of the last Midwest Preparedness Projects festivals, I think it was last fall, had to have been. or spring. I don't know. I can't keep track.
Yeah, the last one.
So we were talking with one of the guys that's here, and we said, "Hey, if you got a team that can help out, maybe come out. We'll just pay them. We'll contract them to put up our trusses and put up our OSB on our roof." And the tab for just putting on the trusses that we already had and the OSB that we already had, just for them to come out for us a few days with a crew of guys, was $14,000. So we got that quote back, and I can't pay that. So made a phone call again, and this is where community came in key. Within 2 evolutions, the first one being we got the trusses over the entire house and the porch hung in a day. And then we had another little short stint. We had a huge help from the community again. Came out and got the garage put together, and then had the trusses put up on there. But through it all, it's been community. And the reason the thunderstorm was interesting was because we're all building. It's getting late. Everybody's tired because we had framed. The house is 32 feet by 52 feet. We had framed the entire thing from just the subfloor up, so that it was basically from scratch. And all of a sudden, the weather starts rolling in, and it starts getting dark, and everybody's looking at their phones, and the skies just let go. So we were getting, we went from all being overheated and super hot to being freezing cold. Mm-hmm. So it was quite the experience, and the community stood tough, and some of us scrambled to our vehicles to try to figure out what the next step were. Other guys were just like, "Oh, it's my annual shower. I'll take it." Or hide behind the walls that were standing. The walls didn't fall over through none of it. So we got the bracing up, and we were literally walking around at the end of the night with the house up, but we were walking around dog tired with flashlights, just trying to make ends meet. And a couple of and I don't want to forget anybody or upset anybody, but there were some folks behind the scenes that were a huge help, and we absolutely couldn't have done it without them. Obviously, Tag, but Kevin, huge help. We could have never did this without Kevin. And there's been several along the way, but those are like the 2 majors. And then everybody else that's been over, y'all know who you are. And a lot of the people that have been up here on the stage speaking and came over and helped and put in the effort and the work and donated their time. And we are looking forward to getting our house done so we can be more about the community and less about the house.
Tag was talking about the picture that he took because it is not within my personality. He's like the Tasmanian devil, and I could be like Eeyore sometimes. Like I just like to plan things, take my time. He's like this too. He just won't admit it all the time. Yeah. But at the end of the day and the end of the evolution, it was the fact that there were so many people there helping us out, and all the people that we got to know where we actually felt like part of the community, and it was just priceless. Yeah, I just wanted to, I was way stressed out. It was hard, but to see people come together, and we were still new to the community. That's what makes it all worth it, because we can relate to Angela and Garen's because we were all set, and getting to know them and being able to hear their story and relating and having somebody to talk to, as well as there's another couple that have gone through a lot just being here. We couldn't have done this without our community. It's not without our hardships. It hasn't been easy. Kansas was not on my radar. It was not on our radar at all. There's a lot of things I don't necessarily like about Kansas, but there's a lot of things that I actually do like about Kansas. And the best thing about Kansas is this community that we're a part of.
Yeah, you guys, that experience for me going through that with you guys was just amazing. And you guys, I filmed the whole thing. I've done YouTube videos on it, but specifically you, Jeanette, that look on your face that I will never forget. That is a look I will remember all the way through the rest of my days. And not because it was bad or good, but it was just the capturing of that emotion, and it was this whirlwind that was going, I knew it was going to be okay, right? You didn't, but I did. And, but it's okay, right? And in the end, it's okay.
Oh yeah. We all get stressed out. In fact, I managed to bum a smoke off somebody, and I'm riding the quad around the property trying to get something smoking, and she showed up. I was in trouble. But no, it's been phenomenal. And it is frustrating and it is hard. It's not easy to do, especially if you don't build houses, but in the end it's gonna be worth it. So we're just gonna keep pushing.
We talk about, as far as, do you want to grow a community, you got to do your part plus a little bit. And Mike and Jeanette, you guys have always done your part plus a little bit. I know with 100% I can count on you in a moment's notice, as you guys know. They've been to my house, we've poured footings, we've collected firewood, Mike calls me all the time and says, hey, it was funny. I tell the story. This is funny. So in the beginning, he would say, hey, can I borrow a 7/16 wrench? And I'd be like, yeah, it's in the red toolbox against the back wall. It would totally change now. So now it's, hey, I'm coming over to get some straps. I don't even need to tell him where they are. Right. He got it down. Right. But it's wonderful. I can't thank you guys enough. That experience was an amazing experience to me, and I'm better for it. But I just want to tell you guys, I appreciate you. And thanks for doing your part.
Thanks for having us up here. And
Yeah.
thanks for having us up here.
What's that? Of course.
So we're brand new to the community, and when we first got here, there was a couple other people that were on their way. Some of them here now, some of them still on their way. I remember something Patrick said as far as he's an introvert, but he's out here putting things together and running different things. Well, I'm introverted too, but in the military, part of my job, I don't know, maybe it's because when I get in a group, I don't talk a lot. I listen to everybody else talk, but in my squadrons and stuff, I was the one arranging the Christmas parties. I did different ceremonies, group activities, are you coming? So, that's where I've taken my talents as far as the community goes. And first we got a group together on Wednesday nights, and we were talking just to, what are you doing? How can we help each other? When are you coming out? So that we would know when they were coming out so that we could help. And then it turned into tags like, is there anybody else that we should include? You know what? Maybe we should include all the people that we're talking to in our community, the ones that we're asking questions, like Tag and Hitch and Grumpy and all those people that are helping us out and we're asking questions. And that morphed into Discord, which I'm not a techie. I guess that used to be a video game platform. And what we've turned it into, I know the Midwest Preparedness, they have their Discord. We started a Northeast Kansas Discord just to try to link up those of us in Northeast Kansas. But my goal was to be intentional. I didn't want to just come out here and just be part of the community. My goal is to get to know my community. So not just the people that have, come over and helped us, that we get to interact on a daily basis. There's people that I go to different events and I see their faces and I don't know who they are. My intent is to get to know them. If you're in my community, if you're in my county, if you're in a connecting county, my goal is to get to know you, but not only get to know you, get you connected to those that are in your county and those counties that are connected to you. So if you are in the Northeast Kansas area and you're interested in our Discord, and it's strictly homesteading. I was born and raised in the city. After we retired from the military, we just wanted to get out in the country. Homesteading is what I'm trying to learn, and I like to glean off other people, and it's the opportunity where you don't have to leave your house. Just become part of it. Show us pictures. Brag on what your animals are doing, what you've done, what you've built, what systems you're putting together, what you've learned. That's how those of us that haven't grown up doing this, that have no idea what we're doing, learn, because we always can't get to somebody else's homestead. We always can't get a hold of, get out of our house or into somebody else's house. So if you're interested, I would love for you to talk to me so that we could get you plugged in, because we're not going to be intentional unless we intentionally try to get to know each other so that we can continue to help each other out.
Yes, if you guys are interested in the local newsletter, the local get together, it's the things that we do online. Yep, she's the one to talk to, and she'll get you squared away. I really appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Hi, Mom. We're getting the 4:30 warning from the stage.
Okay.
Here.
All right. Well, I've got to get at least one more set of people up here.
So, real quick, little house cleaning. Anybody that is getting ready for the potluck at the 5:30 potluck, this is your 1 hour warning.
Okay. Real quick, if Jeff and Louise would come up. Yeah, please.
We can keep going.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So
1 hour warning.
Yeah, very important set of people who've been through a lot. And I think their story is pretty interesting.
All right. Howdy, howdy.
Their stories, because you worked with our sorority.
Yes. Yeah.
I know that's dangerous. So the young man on the other side, you can see he's wearing a free man hat. There's a reason, right? That free, right?
Free.
Yep, amen. Why do we call you King, Jeff, Juicy, Gypsy, Hefty, Lefty? Why do we call you all that? Scarface.
Because I hang around you too much.
So
I'll come from Texas.
how did you guys come to be here?
We watched Life Done Free every Friday night. And one Friday night afterwards, I said, how awesome would that be to live in a place where you have community? I mean, we lived in Tennessee. I love Tennessee. We were debt free. We lived off grid, totally off grid. We had our livestock, but we had no community. The next morning, I got up, did my typical chores on Saturday, was pulling cow manure out to the compost, and he said, he was sawing. He said, I think I'm going to list our place. Yeah, right. So a little bit later, he said, yeah, he said, I've got realtors coming Monday. I went, okay. We sold it. 15 trips later, we moved our whole farm.
15 trips of 19 hours
Each.
each way. Yeah.
I did that while she worked, made the money.
Yeah. So your guys' journey once you got here to Kansas has been the easiest of all, right?
Smooth.
Come on, Lou, give us the scoop.
It was, you know, I live in Tennessee. I lived in the mountains of Tennessee and nice weather. I get up here, Jeff drops me off in July, the end of July.
This is a summer day in Roan Mountain, Tennessee.
And it was, I said, oh my gosh, my best friend was calling me. She said, I cannot believe you're still there. I said, I know. I said, I'm going to try and see if I can do it. But Tag and B would come over when he got cut. They come over and finish the top on the barn. Mike came over one night. It was almost dark, and the pump went out on my pumping water to my cows.
Air conditioner wasn't working.
So I'm out there taking buckets, dumping water in. It's dark, and I see these headlights coming down the driveway, and I thought, I don't know anybody really, you know, too many people here. I didn't know if I should pull my gun out. I didn't know what to do, but it was Mike, and I said, "You guys have a live thing tonight?" And he said, "No, I'm out here to help you." And so he got it working. I was able to get my animals water, and it's getting easier and easier. But I will say, this is probably the hardest place I've ever had to live.
Yeah,
it's been hard.
Yeah, well, they bought a piece of land, couldn't find water, which was a challenge for them. It's a beautiful piece of land. Sold the piece of land, bought another piece of land, and the guy that owned it is a mess, and so they had to go through all of that mess. But back to the original story, King, we call him King because he told her when they were dating that he was royalty. Okay, we call him Lefty because he cut his hand trying to put some roof on a barn, and we had to go finish because he was in the emergency room. We call him Juicy because he needed a straw hat, and all he could find was a girl's one that had a pink band on it. And he managed to get the pink band off, but left a little gold clip on it that said Juicy. So, of course, we're mean friends, and so we latch on to those.
Hefty.
The Hefty, oh, that's right, Hefty. This dude actually bent my farm jack. Bent the handle of my farm jack. That old man muscles some real shit. Yeah, it's been an incredible journey, and you know, as you guys come up here, I have never in my life experienced someone so willing to do extra that you need to.
Well, I mean, to me, that's what community is all about.
I know, but it's easy to say it.
True.
It's a whole nother thing to do it. You know, when B was really, really sick, they were bringing me meals over, and they were coming over to do the chores, and I kept telling them, guys, I got this, and they're like, shut up, fire. Like, we're doing this, and so I love you guys, and I just can't believe you're part of my community, and I mean it, man. I've never seen anybody willing to reach to the lengths you guys are willing to reach to. I mean it.
Thank you. Hey, B, I found another cow.
Oh, hold on. Lesson. Do not allow your wife to shop with Lou. Don't do it. They come home with cows. Yes, that really happened.
Cows. She is a good cow. Yeah.
I love all this. No. Well, guys, we're gonna get out of here because I know that everybody wants to get on with their stuff, but I want to just talk a little bit about the community, and then we're gonna give some stuff away and we'll get on with our day. It's so easy. The world is set, up for us to hate each other and for us to be divided on political lines or on religious lines or on sexuality lines or whatever it is. And so I just want to stress to you guys, we can accomplish so much if we do it together. I was talking with Lindsay from Food Forest Abundance, and I tell her and everybody else, community is the number one thing, because with it, everything's possible. And without it, few things are. Me and B have a homestead. Trying to run that homestead, just the two of us, is really hard. It's really, really hard. But once we have community around us, we have people who will come over and who will help. It makes the whole thing a whole lot easier. Yeah, and we learn. Anything you want to add to all that?
Just that.
You've been so beautiful and quiet tonight. I've never known you so quiet.
That's okay.
It is, but the reason I married her, she has the best sense of humor ever. I can joke about anything. I have a whole thermos of it, so that she made me. That's damage. All right, so you want to give the stuff away?
Let's do it.
So what do you want to do first, Patrick?
Let's what do you guys want to do? You guys first or online first? Online first or here first? Online first? Okay, so it's gonna count the comments tag.
Okay.
So if you guys haven't been commenting, you got 10 seconds? You better get your comments in now.
So if they were here and they commented, they have a chance.
Perhaps, yes.
Yeah, so if you were on the live while you were here, you have a chance to win 2 of them. The world is plotted against you, Skinsville. Did you guys get tickets? Okay. All right, Patrick, we're waiting on you, Pumpkin.
No way.
Sex!
How cool is that?
Wait, this is rigged.
Hey, Bobby, you want to do us the honors on the other one? You don't know?
I can absolutely do whatever you want to do.
I don't know how the tickets work, so I don't know how it all works.
I get your to let them know on the mic. Get your
Yeah,
tickets.
get your tickets out.
Let me tickets out.
Don't be a jerk.
Somebody,
Don't be a jerk.
a kid to pick a ticket. Anybody got a kid up here?
I need a small child.
Small child. Anybody under 5 foot? That'll do.
Oh, we're getting Jackson.
Oh, Jackson will do.
You'll do, Pig.
Yes, that'll do, Pig.
Energy independence is the issue of our times. I'm telling you guys. The system being able to hold that stroke of power above you is a real deal. Go get energy independent.
Here he is.
Jackson.
Hi, Jackson.
Oh no, we got 2 buddies. We just need 1 buddy. We only need 1. So 3 minutes or 1 minute.
You like that?
each.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, you guys all have to fight to the death, and whoever wins, just throw the ticket.
Ready, go. That wasn't supposed to happen like that.
Like that.
All right.
All right, here you go.
All right, here we go, everybody.
You just pick your nose.
0 0 0 9 0 4 6.
Who's got it?
The beautiful Miss Rebecca gets the second generator. Hey, B.
Yes.
How cool is that? Hey. You got any party words you want to go before we get out of here?
Good job, Ed. Here,
Got anything?
Jackson.
Two mounts.
No.
Give these to the other two kids.
Quiet from you.
Hey guys, we're gonna get out of here. Hold the line. Don't give an inch. Tag and be out. We'll see you guys on Friday.
Tag, get the hell off Bullet Stage.
I'll join you at the next tag talk. You're welcome, Bobby.